This
Okta
conference
API,
will
the
now be
password,
recorded.
the passwords and other stuff. But you showed other like you created your own kind of thing. Maybe in that part, maybe I think we are unable to create. Like we are able to do user Okta API. I'm able to do creation of group, create passwords kind of thing. So all this.
Okay, okay, perfect.
Only you showed above that, right? Some of the folders you created, like a group kind of thing or something like that.
Hmm. Okay, I mean that's fine. Like the logic or the motive behind APIs is like you guys should be able to at least work with the template of the APIs which are already given, because like as per once you'll start working with Okta technology, like as per the use cases you'll get, you'll be able to develop or build those APIs if you have the basic understanding of Okta APIs. So that's not a big thing, like that's not something very difficult to develop what I have done. But the thing is, like, if you understand that thing, like what you are doing right now, on the basic, the basic templates of Okta, API templates of Okta, which are there in your Postman right now. If you are able to work with them, then definitely, later on, you'll understand more of them once you practice more, and you would be able to build all of them, like whatever it comes the use case, you'll be able to think and build it. So it's good, like if you are able to work with the APIs which are imported by Okta. If there is an issue understanding anything on that, then we can discuss. If those are clear, then it's fine. Okay then. So today we'll start off with the group rules, guys. So and we did check, how do we create groups. Again, there are user APIs in Okta. Sorry, group APIs in Okta. If you see, I think some of you guys have already imported Postman group APIs as well. So if you go in here, right, and go to groups, although we are not going to do much on the groups right now because they are also simple APIs only, and you guys have got a understanding of how do we do it. So maybe I'll just show you once I import it. In the meanwhile, you guys can also just import these APIs, and if in case you guys get time, just start practicing these APIs as well, because user and groups are two most important APIs we should be working with. So that's how yesterday someone asked, right? Like that's how I got my workspace, because I just have only one workspace. If I have two, three workspaces, then I can, select at the time of import and which workspace I need to, add it. Okay, I think I already had the group API, so I'll just delete one of them. But yeah, so this is like, the group operations which we can see, like, we can add a group, maybe we can get a group. Like maybe I do not have a group ID right now, so I'll just go in and get some of the group IDs. Maybe this group ID. Yesterday I told you guys, right, like how to get a user ID and a group ID. So for a user also, you just go to the user and it's this last stuff after the slash, and same goes for the group. Like just get this last stuff from the slash, and then just go back over here, maybe save it and then send it, so you'll get to in the response you'll get it. So again, this is very simple whatever I'm showing you right now, but just maybe if you want to have a look to all the groups or stuff like that, you can just start using these APIs. And so now there in the end you can see that you have a group rule operations. So first of all, we'll check that in the group rule operations, we'll check that what is a rule or a group rule in Okta, and then we'll try to understand it from API's perspective as well. So if I go over here, right, so to add a group, it's very simple. You go in and give a group name, and you can maybe give a description. That's optional, and then your group is created. And within the group, you can just go in and assign people directly, or maybe assign applications directly, and stuff like that. Okay, so but now what we are trying to, but what we will try to see is like what are these rules, why do we have to use these rules? So if I go to the rules and add a rule, so you will get to see this option, this dialog box. You can just give a name as the demo rule, and over here you get to see two things. One is the user basic condition and the other is the expression language. Okay, so now there is an expression language in Okta, which is like, it's a very simple, language which Okta understands. You can think of it like that, for example, I write my name over here, Vibhor. I want to write name equal to Vibhor. Okay, so maybe Okta will not understand this thing because Okta cannot decode this language. So what I can write is that user dot first name equal to, or maybe equal this to Vibor. So this is something Okta can decode it now. Okay. So over here, if you'll just see, the one thing like what I've used is user dot. So this becomes part of your Okta expression language. Don't worry, like how have I decided that this is my first name, this is where we are going to go ahead and do the profile, wherein we'll just talk about this thing that when do we have to use user dot, when do we have to use app dot and stuff like that. So but for the time being, like something like that, you can think of it like this is the expression language. Also, if you want to go ahead and learn more about expression language, then they have a very good link over here. So there are two types of profiles which we have. One is the Okta user profile and the application user profile. Now application user profile and Okta user profile is something which is our next topic, so we'll just not get into deep, but yeah, I mean that's what, like Okta expression language is something based on the profiles and a language which Okta understands. Like if you're trying to write a small script, although also please remember that we do not write big codes over here. Like it's like one line, two line maximum scripts over here for Okta to understand whatever we are trying to communicate, because it could happen, right? Like maybe even if you go and see the basic conditions, so maybe you are trying to use an attribute of a user. Now if you remember that we have studied what is a user attribute, so your first name, last name, email, all of these are your user attributes. And now there are different attributes. Like you can see all these attributes over here: login, first name, last name, middle name, all those 31 attributes, default attributes of Okta comes here. So now you want to use something like maybe first name equals Vibhor. Okay, so this is exactly, if I just want to, if I don't want to use this language but I want to use my own language, so it is exactly this thing. Okay, so but I don't want, why will I write a script when I can get something directly from here? So when I cannot get something directly from here, at that point of time I'm going to make use of my Okta expression language. So there are small functions which helps you to trim the data, change the data, work around with the data. So that is something we need to work in. I mean, we can make use of Okta expression language if we cannot directly do it from the from the interface. So so now this is like we have got couple of them. One is the user attribute and the other is the group membership attribute. So first of all, let's try to understand, because this is a demo rule. I mean, this is a group rule. So what is it going to happen? Okay, so I am saying that if anyone is having first name as Vibor, then assign them to this maybe group, then assign them to this group. So what will happen is whenever the user will be created, right, or even if the user is not created, it's already created. At that point of time, once I will activate this rule, automatically it will check any user having first name as Weber. It will directly send that user to this admin group. Okay, and over here I can just give an exception, like okay, like maybe you can exclude this rule for like Vibor itself. If we have more than one Vibor, so yeah, I can have like I have two Vibors right now, so maybe I can exclude this for first one, because the second one, the first name is demo, it's not Vibor. For the first one, the first one name is Vibhor. So I might have, excluded this. Let's try and, test it out. So see, I tried to do a preview with some other user, and that user does not match this rule. Okay. Yeah. I haven't. Okay. Exactly. So if in case I do a match with some other user which matches this rule, so it will come as green. If in case I put some user which does not match this rule, like maybe demo before, it will come as user doesn't match the rule. So it's like red. So I'll reiterate whatever you are trying. You might have got confused with couple of concepts coming in like the Okta expression language and the app profile, user profile. So don't think of any of them for the time being. Okay, think of it like you are creating a rule for the groups. Now, what is this rule going to do? So this rule is automatically going to assign people to certain groups based on some of their attributes. So maybe there is a user created with, maybe you can, maybe there is a user created with the first name as Vibhor. Okay. And there are 5 users created with first name as Vibhor. It could happen, right? Like there is Vibhor Garg, Vibhor Gupta, Vibhor Bansal, Vibhor Mittal, stuff like that. So there are 5 different names in which the first name of the user is Vibhor. So what I'm trying to say is that assign all those 5 users to a certain group. Over here, I'm just giving a random group that is admin group, but I can just create a group with name Vibhor and I can just give that name. Okay, so what will happen is it will assign all those 5 users to that group whatever I am assigning over here. At the same time, I can give an exception saying that okay, maybe I have 5, I don't want to include these 2 users in this group maybe. So I can just specify explicitly over here which are my 2 users which I don't want to give explicitly. Okay, so that's how this is how a rule works in Okta. But it should be like the example which we are seeing, that is very specific. It cannot happen that that okay, first name equals to Vibhor. So maybe we can have something like okay, my first name for the ones like whose first name is starting with maybe character V. Okay, so anyone's first name starting with character V will come under this group. So or maybe D because we have 3 demo people. So now if I want to check maybe about demo, so this rule matches for this user because its first name is starting with D. So all the users having their first name starting with D, they will they'll be added to this particular group. Or you can have contains with, so it's not necessary that you have to give the first name or the last, I mean starting characters of your name or something like that. So maybe you can give okay, if your first name contains maybe emo, so then also you can check. So if I again like in demo we have emo, so again you'll see that this rule matches the this user matches the rule. The reason being because now it is just trying to find these characters somewhere in their first name. So if it finds somewhere, then it matches. If it doesn't, it no. So over here, whatever I'm showing you, it might not make much sense. Like why are we doing this? Like why are we going to say that it contains with D or stuff like that? But what happens is like there are certain attributes in Okta, like for example, uh, you are an admin of you. I mean, you are going to be an admin in Okta, like not Okta admin, but admin of a group. Okay, so there is already a group created in Okta named as admin group, and there is going to be one of your attribute which will help you to understand whether you are an admin or not. So maybe your manager, maybe like if your manager equals value yes, so then we are saying that you are an admin. So something like that actually helps us to understand okay whether you need to be added to this manager group or not. Let's not say admin, but let's say manager. So there, let's assume that we already have a group created in Okta with name as manager, and in the attribute, if I see that my manager value is equal to yes, then definitely it has to be assigned to the manager group. So in that scenario, we can understand, okay, that the moment this user is created, automatically this user will be assigned to that manager group. We don't have to explicitly go and help it understand that you need to be assigned to this group. So we'll just try to see something, uh, maybe login equal to Vibhor, or starts with Vibhor. Okay. So let's assume I do not have my user right now. I won't explicitly do something over here. I'm going to add this, and maybe okay. So this rule matches. I'm just going to save the rule now. Currently, this is my inactive rule. So if I'll go back to the groups and the admin group, I'll make sure that I am not part of this group right now. So I am not part of this group. I'll go back to the groups rules and I'll just activate the rule. So once this rule is activated, now I would be a part of this group. See, I'm back in, and over here it will also show that why am I part of this group. Like it's the reason being because there is a demo rule created which has provisioned me to this group, because it satisfies the rule conditions. So if it is satisfying the rule conditions, then it will just bring me into the group. If it doesn't satisfy the rules condition, then I will be not part of this group. So that's how it goes over here. So okay, so we just saw this right now. Okay, so let's try to go ahead and create one more role. So let's say this as demo group 2. Now you see that there are couple of conditions, I mean couple of choices over there. One is the user attributes, other is the group membership. Okay, so now you say that if user is a part of this particular, now if you select group membership, right, so all other options are gone. So if you're selecting user attributes, then you're playing around with attributes. These are attributes values which you are playing around. But if you are saying like I want to use a basic condition as group membership. So group membership is that you are saying that if user is a part of this group, then assigned to the other group. So maybe you can say that if user is a part of admin group, then assigned to maybe some other group, demo group 1. Okay, and let's see, like I am a part of that group, so I'll be matching this rule. So I just save it and I'll just activate it, and over here I'll go and you'll see that demo group has 7 people, because I remember that demo group had 3 people before. It has added all those 4 people which I had, and now demo group 1 has 7 people. And over here you can see that 4 people are added by demo group 2 rule. So the reason being because there is a group which is satisfying some condition, and that's why it is just taking you from one position to, I mean from one group to another. Now there are many use cases in the real time scenario where you require all sort of stuff. The reason being because you require maybe an application group to be created wherein rules are required. Like there are some birthright applications like Outlook, Teams. So everyone who is part of the uh, like there's a rule created in Okta which says that anyone who is part of the everyone group, like this group, they should be part of this Teams group. Okay, so there would be a group created over, or the Outlook group. Okay, maybe there is a group created for Outlook and over here, so they'll assign to this. So now you'll ask, why are we not assigning directly everyone group to the Outlook application? Why? So this is to this is there are certain good or bad practices when you are working in identity and access management domain. So you can go ahead, you can directly assign everyone group, but that everyone group is not something created by us in Okta, and hence we do not recommend you guys to like go ahead and work with the everyone group. And hence mostly it is recommended that it's a good practice to create a separate group for each of the application. So if you're doing that, so it's considered to be a good practice, you can say. It's not like that the if I'm directly assigning everyone group to the application, so it will not work. It will still work. maybe exactly the same way, but still it's not a good practice. Like if you are writing a code, you are not writing comments, your code will still work, but it's not a good practice that you are writing a code without comments. So that's how exactly, we can say it over here, that if you will assign a group particular to an application, at that point of time you might have to use that same group to be added to the Outlook. So in that scenario, you can directly add it, like you can just check that everyone group is added to the Outlook application, and all the people of the application, all the people available in Okta will be added to this group. So because why I'm talking about Outlook or Teams is because this is like birthright applications. Like the moment you're onboarded to an organization, you require access to your Outlook, Teams, Skype and stuff like that. So you don't have to manually go in or add all the people, or you don't have to do, because and this is going to be lifetime, because today if someone is there, or like tomorrow 550 more people are joining the organization, so they'll be in this everyone group, and automatically they'll be keep on adding in this particular group also Outlook. So you don't have to manually do anything at any point of time. So that's how these rules will help us to automate these process. So now I would say that you can also go ahead and create some rules. Although they are pretty straightforward, but still, if you guys are not clear with something over here, just come up with your doubts.
So group membership is only for the applications, right, sir?
Sorry.
For the group membership, right? Add a rule, group membership, assigning to only applications, right, sir? Like you
No, yeah,
mentioned Outlook.
only for groups. Only for groups. I mean, see, what I just told you, right? That was an example for an application. But like you can do a lot of things with groups. Okay. So, like for example, like what are a lot of the things you can do with groups? Let's try to understand. So you can, maybe write a password policy based on the group. Maybe you can have your MFA policy based on the group. Then maybe we have seen the authorization server that can also be done based on the group. No, sorry, not authorization server, but sign-on policy. You can have your sign-on policy based on the groups. Then obviously your applications, which we just discussed. So these are, different types of operations which you can do with groups. So currently you'll have your network zones based on your group. So right now you might not be in a situation to understand like password policy, MFA policy, sign-on policy, or network zones, because we haven't gone through them. We have just gone through the applications, and hence I'm just talking about this, or I was giving a reference to that. Now whatever, like if in case you are using groups membership over here, and you are creating certain groups, and those groups are going to be used somewhere in these five parameters, five operations or five services which Okta provides. So somewhere it will just help you ease your process. You don't have to come in and manually assign people. You don't have to come in and add people to the network policy or to the MFA policy or to the sign-on policy, because they are part of a group which are being calculated based on a rule. So like if you can get a rule, and it doesn't mean that you have a rule over here and it will directly assign. You can exclude people also, like okay, if people contain certain attribute, then don't assign them. So that and all can also be done, like maybe if a user is a part of a manager, then don't assign to this group, otherwise assign. So stuff like that can also be done. So based on the rules, it will just help you to ease your process, and you can use or leverage those groups somewhere else in some other services of Okta. So that's how it goes. Sorry, was it clear or you're confused?
It's somewhat clear, sir. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, basically, it's not just about, just about applications. It can be used, like groups can be used anywhere in Okta. And wherever groups can be used in Okta, these rules will come in handy. That's what I meant. Like, there are different services where you can leverage or use groups in Okta. So wherever you can use groups in Okta and you require certain kind of automation, not on automation also, automation wouldn't be the right word, but you require certain kind of a process to be, done automatically. So in that scenarios, these group rules comes in very handy. And also they are important for you to understand from the interview point of view. If you guys are going to work or look will be looking for a job somewhere in Okta, so people do ask about group rules. So, although you don't have much to explain to the interviewer like what do we have, but whatever we have you should be having good knowledge on that. Like, okay, you have user attribute, group membership, and when can we use a user attribute rule or a group membership rule. And I think that will be because, like, see, there are, to be very honest, there are many things in Okta which looks very easy. You just go in here, you'll just add something or do something, it looks very easy, but like no one knows the implementation of that. Like, so you are doing something, and if you're not knowing the implementation, then that is not appreciated in the market. So that's why, like, if you know a little bit, but if you know it well, that's important. So make sure that you have understood these things. If in case you don't, we can discuss again from the start the group rules. It's not an issue. Also, please practice these group rules. Like, just go ahead and create like, think of some scenarios and go ahead and create some of the rules and see if they're working or not. Try to replicate some other scenarios whatever I have done. But yeah, I mean, if in case you want to replicate first whatever I did, it's fine. But like, you can think of some other scenarios also. In order to achieve those scenarios, you can just go ahead and create some rule people here in Okta with that stuff, and then you can do it. So it will be a good practice exercise for you guys on working with rules. Okay, guys. So anything else on the rules which you would like to discuss before I move to the profile editor?
Okay, so user walk-the expression language, right, sir? That one, how frequently we use that?
Okay.
Like you mentioned, use walk-the expression language, right?
Yes. So
How?
very, very. See, if in case like in I did mention about here in application, mostly it's going to be used in your application tabs only. Like mostly, I would say 70 to 80%. If in case you are going to use Octa expression language, then it will be in your application tabs, and that too very simple. Like if you want to send some attributes, no. Okay, we do not have a SAML application right now. Maybe this one. So, okay, let's assume that we need to send certain attributes. Oh, it's wow. I think we do not have a SAML. Okay, let's quickly create something. Hmm. So over here, if you see, right, over here, so now over here you need to give the name of the attribute. This is something like which application. This is nothing like nothing on the expression language. Over here you have the expression languages already written. Like if you need to send the first name, this is it. If you need to send the last name, this is it. But this is your expression language. Why are we not using just last name? Why are we using user dot last name? Or why are we when so user dot login or device dot trusted or stuff like that. So this is your expression language. So now 90%, 70 to 80% of the time, I would say you need to use the expression language in your application tabs while sending the attributes. Like so currently it's not necessary that you need to send just user dot first name. Okay, it could be something like you need to send user dot first name and then your last name also. So you'll give a space in between, you'll concatenate, and you'll write something at user dot last name. So it's like, see, only one line script even not a one line single line script, but it's like, easy thing. Now what it will send is, like, for me it will send Vibhor space Garg. And how is it getting? Like, it is understanding that user dot first name, it has to fetch Vibhor, then it has to concatenate or add a space, and then user dot last name, it has to add Garg. So that's how. So that's, it's not very frequent, to be very honest, and it's not very difficult, to be very honest. Like, you have got certain functions, and hardly it's used, but like wherever it's used, you can understand it, how do we have to use. So it's not used much, but like, but it's used wherever, you cannot directly achieve something from Okta. Like, now there is no attribute in Okta which gives my full name, like Vibhor space girl. So when there is nothing in Okta which can give me, I can create something in Okta which can give me. So that's how it works. Okay, anything else, guys, before we start with the profiles? Okay, then I'll take that as a no. Just in case you guys have any doubts with anything on this, just let me know and we can start again. We can discuss in our next class, or maybe today also if you have something. Okay, so next thing we'll start off with the profile editor. Now, profile editor is a very interesting topic which is coming. Like, you can see over here as the, so it's like, we are currently in directory, so we are in the universal directory. Okay, so now what is going to happen is that you are kind of integrating certain applications. You have Okta as your applications, and you might be integrating some of your directories also, right? So over here, profile editor helps us to understand all the attributes whichever we have in all these applications. Okay, so for example, it allows us to store the employee and the customer data in Okta, generating a user base as a single source of truth. So what is happening is, like, see, all of, whether I just told, like, whether it is Okta, whether it is different applications, like, these are all those different apps which we have integrated, whether it we have directories or the identity providers. Like, currently Okta is acting as your identity provider, but there is a way that you can add Google as your identity provider, so you can add it as a identity provider. So this profile editor is actually acting as a single source of truth. Like, it is making that universal directory as a single source of truth. So what is happening is, like, whatever attributes, whatever user details, whatever user data you have coming from all the applications, from all the directories, or from anywhere in Okta, that can be found in the profile editor. Okay, so that's why, like, if you go to the all tab, you'll see that all of the data coming from anywhere, it's coming under the profile editor. Okay, so now we'll start off with the profiles. We'll see a little bit of theoretical stuff, what are profiles, and why do we have the concept of profile. So universal directory uses the concept of profile, a logical grouping of attributes to represent user accounts. In particular, Universal Directory supports two types of profiles. One is the user profile and the other is the app profile. So basically, Okta needs to understand, okay, these set of attributes are coming, are Okta attributes or user attributes, and the other set of attributes are the application attributes. Now, I have already told you why is that Okta is by default having 31 attributes. Okay, you have your first name, last name, email, department, and stuff like that. And in app user profile, it is not necessary that you have the same names. Okay, it could be that in Okta you have a name like, in Okta you can have first name as maybe this thing, not maybe, it is like this. And in application it could be something like maybe this. Okay, these are two different attributes, they are not same attributes, because everything is case sensitive in Okta. Okay, so, like, they cannot be considered as, because the spelling is same, that okay, no, they are same attributes only, they are two different attributes. Okay, so now Okta needs to, Okta will be confused, right? Like, which is my attribute and which is applications attribute. So therefore there is a logical grouping which will help Okta to understand what is their set of attributes and what is the set of the attributes of the application. Okay, so if we go back to here, right? So therefore we have got, couple of user profiles. One is the Okta user profile and the other is the app user profiles. Both these profiles are very rich. They store attributes in Okta, and they do, transfer these attributes to the third-party applications. So like third-party applications means that over here I showed you guys that if I went to the applications and I was trying to send certain attributes over here. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to send certain attributes, right? So at that point of time, I am going to send that attribute to maybe Salesforce application. So that Salesforce becomes my third party application, and it is sending attributes because I have those attributes in my Okta application. So whatever attributes are in Okta, be it an application attribute or the Okta attribute itself. What are application attributes? Attributes coming from the application. And what are Okta attributes? Applications already created in Okta, default attributes of Okta, or some new attribute which is created inside Okta. So they are Okta attributes. So these attributes can be used anywhere inside Okta. It can be sent to maybe your third-party application, or it can be used to maybe create a group rules, password rules, anything. So you can just use these attributes anywhere in your application. In application, I mean Okta. So if I go to directory, right, and the profile editor, so I can see that we have got different like applications over here. So Okta is like by default, like every time whether you haven't integrated even a single application, still you will find that there would be an application named as user default in here. So if I go into this now over here, now you can see that these are all my default attributes. Whatever you see on the screen, right, they are all 31 attributes, whichever you see on the screen, your last name. So this is your display name, this is how it looks, but this is the backend name, this is how it will understand. So it's like that, on the form it will show you as username, but anyway you need to get the value of this username, it is login. Okay, so they are being mapped to each others in a way that like the display name is different and the variable name is different. So we need to understand what is a display name and what is the variable name. So display name is something shown to the end user, and the variable name is the value of that display name which is being shown to the end user. And you can see that all of these data types are string, like they are all string based attributes. Okay, so you have your first name and first name. So every time you would have seen, like if you have noticed that we are always using this kind of camel case to write the first name last name, although the display name of first name is this. So but we are not going to use this anywhere in our whenever we are working with the values, we are never going to use these values anywhere, trust me, because this is something only for the end user to see while creating a user, or while adding or deleting a user, that okay, this is his first name. But for us to use the values, this is important, this is the first name or the last name or the attribute values which we need to work on. So you have seen you have all those 31 default attributes, and you can see that you cannot delete them because by default they are there. These are not certain attributes which you have created, these are like default attributes of Okta. So now you can just see that there are two tabs. One is the base attributes, that is the default, where you can see all of these, and the other is the custom. Since I haven't created any custom attribute yet, so there is nothing over here. So let's go ahead and create a custom attribute. So you guys can follow me on this, like if you guys are done with the group rules and if you want to follow, you can come in and come to the directory profile editor and start creating attributes. So for example, I want to create an attribute name as maybe maybe let's assume that okay, we are doing a training, right? So after training, maybe one attribute we have created. Okay, now this Okta training, this is the display name. Okay, so this is the display name which is coming, and this will be my Okta training, will be my value of that. Okay, to and this was to understand if person has enrolled in training or not. Okay, so now see, I have created a group. I mean, I have created an attribute over here, which will help me to understand that whether a person is a part of this training batch or not. So, I can have multiple people in my Okta tenant. Like, I have 20 people, but out of those 20, only six of you guys are, in my training batch. So I need to identify you guys as, okay, these are the people who are working with me and in my training, and these are the set of people who are not working with me in this training. So I can create an attribute, and then this is something like I can give that, I can say that this value should be unique for each user, which cannot be true in our case, because like if you are all part of this training batch, then it has to be yes for all of you. So we shouldn't mark this. Then the attribute length, you can give that the value should not be very high or stuff like that. And then you can also make this attribute as a mandatory attribute, that whenever a user is getting rated, this attribute has to be filled. If this is not getting filled, then you cannot create a user. But we are not going to do anything of that right now. We'll just save it. So once we save it, right, you'll see that this is your Okta training attribute. Like if you just base and custom, so there is one custom attribute which is created, which is Okta training. You have the variable name as Okta training string and custom. Okay, so now now you'll find that if you now you've just created an attribute here in Okta, and this is how we create attributes in Okta. Like initially I did mention that we'll create some attributes. We can create our own attributes also, but there are certain default attributes which we mostly use. So if these are those default attributes which we use, and right now I've just created one of my own attribute also. So now if I go to the people, right, and if I go to maybe a particular user, and I go to profile, I'll see that attribute popped up. Now the value is not there because I haven't given the value, but I can just go ahead and start editing and giving the value. So let's go ahead and just give yes to it right now. Okay, and we'll do it with certain more users, because I want to show you that this could be one of your use case. So Isaac is not working with us. Isaac is not there. So Kanya is part of the batch. So let's go ahead and add. Then I'll give my name as well. Then so I'm actually, this is something which will be given at the time of user creation only, so we don't have to manually come in and do the stuff over here. But since like we are doing it for the first time, so and we did not have that you like this attribute before, so that's why we can do it, and we don't have many users right now, so it's fine. Okay, so let's assume that we have added all of them. Okay, all the real users which are part of the training batch, and now I go ahead and create a rule maybe. So I'll first go ahead and create an Okta training group maybe. Okay, I have created an Okta training group. Now inside the Okta training group, I don't want to manually assign people. I want to create a rule, Okta training rule, which says that if the user attribute, that is my, now it will come here Okta training. Earlier it will not, because you were not part, it the attribute was not there in Okta. Then assign to this Okta training. Okay, and I will just save it, and I will just activate this group. And now I will come here and I will see that I have got 5 people over here. Okay, and all are coming because of the rule which I have created in Okta. So this is to show that I did something here and I created a custom attribute here in profile editor. I went to people to add the value of that user, and then in groups I created a group and a rule, and that all my people got added automatically. So that's how actually this could be one of your actual use case scenario. Like like obviously Okta training wouldn't be something people would be creating groups for, but something like close to the real case scenario which you'll be working with Okta, that this is how stuff could be for you. It is not necessary that you'll have to create a custom attribute to do this thing. It could be based on anything, but this was a good understanding of or a practical to understand like how people and groups and profile editor works together. So was that clear to you guys? Like, were you able to understand what did we do right now to create a group and rule, and then how do we create the custom attributes in Okta? Did you guys understand this custom attributes thing? Don't I mean people in group just don't mess up with that right now. But did you understand this custom attribute? Like what is a custom attribute and how do we create it in here in Okta? Because this is an important concept and you might have to create the custom attributes a lot of times, so that's why I'm asking.
Yes, we understand better,
Okay.
but in groups,
Hmm.
actually, I asked the question, but I don't know. Means it not,
Okay.
yeah. So when we create the group,
Hmm.
so the assign to that part I didn't understand. Means
In rule you are saying?
when groups.
Okay, I am in groups right now. In rules, are you asking that this then
Yeah,
assign?
add rule. Yeah. In adding rule, I create one rule,
Hmm.
but means if we put the conditions, whatever I the condition, then
Hmm.
whom I assign to, means in that box, what will come?
Okay, so let's go ahead and see our Okta training rule which we just created. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So over here also we have given a condition saying that if my Okta training rule is equal to yes for any user whose value is yes for this attribute, then
Mm-hmm.
assign to this group. This assigned to is a group in Okta. It should be available in Okta. Like if you don't have this group available in Okta, it will not pop up. So it will only pop up those values of the groups which are already created in Okta, like admin. If I just write admin, it will search something with name add and it will pop up. If I just search like test, now there is one group called test group, it will pop up. If I just do demo, it will pop demo group one. If I maybe write something nonsense which is not there, like yes, okay, there is no group with name as yes, so it will not pop up. So whatever groups are available in Okta, we want users to be assigned to that particular group. That is the name we have to write here. Because in the last example, what I just showed, I wanted to assign these people to this particular training group. So that's
Yeah.
why I just wrote Okta training. If it could be any group, but it has to be an Okta group, nothing apart from that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem. Okay, so we just saw like that what is we went to the Okta and we saw like how do we create custom attribute. Over here now just see this thing. This is a variable name which is called as user. Okay, this is to this is used to refer to the profile in the mappings and custom expressions when you fully qualify an attribute. Okay, so that's why anywhere you would have seen that we are using user dot first name, user dot last name, user dot middle name, user dot login. So this is the one which actually helps you. This is that variable name which helps us to understand that which attribute are we calling. There could be a possibility that I have an Okta training attribute over here, and I have the same attribute in somewhere like in some other application also, maybe over here also. I just go ahead and create it. Okay, maybe I just go ahead and create the same attribute. Okay, so let's go ahead and create one attribute over here. Same thing I'm giving after training, exactly same with display name, same variable name, and same everything is same. Okay, now there is like there is an attribute which is created over here. Now if I want to use this attribute name, so this is that variable name over here. Over there it was user, over here it is this. Okay, so if I want to use this variable, no, it has to be like this. I'll have to use this. I'll have to use this dot, then the variable name. This is the variable name. So this is how it will understand, okay, I'm referring to this particular variable. If I have to write, for Okta, it will be this. So this will be for the application which is there, and this will be for Okta. So that's how Okta will understand that, okay, if you are using user dot, that means, okay, you are trying to use my own attribute. Okay, I understand that you can, take the value of this attribute. It will say, okay, you are not trying to use my own attribute. This is application attribute. Okay, go ahead and use this value. So that's how Okta will understand with this variable name, wherever you have to use these set of values, right? Over there, it will refer to that variable name. You can go ahead and, maybe just change it, but no, sorry, we don't have the option to change it. This is like by default way, we cannot change it. But yeah, display name is something you can change. I mean, because display name is like, just a read only field. We don't have to use anywhere any, like, for any expressions or calculation. So even if you write anything over here, it doesn't matter. So but yeah, apart from that, this is very important, that this actually helps you to understand which attribute are you referring to, and accordingly you get the value of that attribute. Okay, so this was it on the on inside the Okta applications for the profile editor. Now if I, go in, and over here you might have noticed one thing, that you do not have the mappings over here. Okay, so why don't you have the mappings over here, is because there is nothing to map in Okta. Nothing to map in the sense, like, Okta is the main source of truth. Okay, Okta is like, having its own set of attributes. So you cannot map an attribute inside Okta with Okta. Like, these are all application attributes. I mean, these are all applications, or the, some other third party tool. They are not Okta applications. I mean, they are Okta applications, like integrated within Okta, but they are not applications developed by Okta. They are not Okta products. They are like, like maybe over here we did a Salesforce integration. So Salesforce is a third party application. We are just done the integration. So whenever you see the type as application or the identity provider, in that only you require mappings, and that's like, that makes sense, right? Because why do you require mappings? Mappings is something that, you are saying that, my first name should be mapped to, like, my first name should be mapped to first name in application. Okay, so you require this because you are saying that this is your Okta and this is your application, or your IDP, anything. Okay, so over here you are saying that my first name should be mapped to the application first name. So why do you require this? Because there are two parties involved over here. But over here in Okta there is nothing like, no. And over here, because this is like a default application of Okta, you cannot map anything in Okta within Okta itself. But over here there are, some other parties involved, like your identity provider or the application. So at that point of time you do require mappings to be done. You are like, no, I want to send this thing, like, I want to send my first name to the first name, or, my last name to the last name, or, something else. At that point of time you can just come in and do, work on the mapping stuff. So these are like, default mappings which are there. Okay, so I mean, I want to cover this topic today, but if in case you guys feel that, it's like too much, or, you guys are not able to follow it, I can stop for the day, and, you guys can have a revision on this, and we can start fresh from tomorrow. But if you guys are fine with it, like today only, then, we can just go ahead. So I need your opinion, guys. Like, what would you suggest?
No, we'll
I
stop.
think yeah, we'll
We'll
Sorry?
stop
practice
here.
this.
Maybe we need to practice, right? Whatever you showed, then maybe we
Exactly.
can have better understanding first.
Yeah, because like then again there would be some concepts coming in and it might confuse you for the day. So better if we stop for the day. But in the meanwhile, just, make sure that, you're doing couple of things today. Go to the groups, create some rules, okay, and whatever rules we have created, just go through them as well, and also come to the profile editor and go to only Okta right now. Don't go to anywhere else. Only come to Okta and try to create a rule over, I mean, try to create a custom attribute over here, which, which could be seen over here in people. Like for the profiles in people, you can see that attribute. So if you are able to understand this thing, practice it. If successfully, I think it will be good that you'll understand. Also, it could be a possibility that you are able to implement something, but it's not clear in your head. Like, sometimes we just follow the steps and we do the stuff, but we don't know why are we doing. So if that is the scenario, I would say just while you're doing a practical session or lab, while practicing it, just take a notebook and write each of the step, and then make sure that you are understanding. Like, if any step you feel that it's not clear, please come back tomorrow and ask so that it's clear. Because otherwise, I'll keep on adding topics or logics over here, and if you're yeah, like today's class is not clear, then tomorrow you will not understand clearly. So I don't want to rush things. I just want to make sure that you guys are comfortable with whatever we have done till now. If you are done with that, if you are comfortable with that, we'll move on to the next topic tomorrow. If you are not comfortable, then we'll again discuss whatever is not clear, and then again we'll move forward. So just make sure that you are practicing it, and once you feel that okay, it is pretty much understood whatever we did today, then we can go ahead and look in this mapping concept. This is an important concept which we need to understand mappings. So that's why I don't want to do it today. But yeah, apart from that, you can just go ahead and do it. Okay, guys, anything else before we close up for the day?
Yeah, I think we are good, sir. We need to practice.
Yeah, sure. So also, if in case you feel that there has been a lot of practical, so before we move forward, we can have one practical session. It's not necessary that we need to keep it on Saturday only. Maybe we can keep it tomorrow also, and then Saturday we can have a normal class. Like we can just keep it that we have like a regular class. But if you guys feel that now is the time or now is the need for us to help to actually work on it, to revise the practical concepts, we can have it tomorrow. You guys can decide internally and just let me know in tomorrow's class in the beginning itself, and accordingly we can decide. Okay, if you guys are fine
Yeah.
with Saturday, I'm fine with, I mean, I'm fine with both the options. Maybe tomorrow or Saturday, both works for me.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Okay, guys, then I think we are good for the day. Have a good one. Take care, and please revise, and let's meet tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Bye bye.